much. So, what are we going to do about it? It's not just, yes, we've seen the truth. You see, the APC has a blame in this for not doing their screening after collecting 100 million naira for what? For presidential candidate form. 100 million naira, if I'm correct. But how about INEC? This is also an opportunity for INEC in respect to the electoral laws to what? To redeem their image. Because if someone sworn an affidavit to say this is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and is now found out that this is no longer the truth, INEC should now act and use this golden opportunity to redeem their image. Good evening, Mazi. Is it okay? You're welcome to the platform. I'm going to use the floor for you to weigh in on this matter. How will the glorious day return? Is it possible when in this light now? Please help me to understand the craziness and the madness that is going on in our country. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You say glorious day, returning of the glorious day. You know, you don't build skyscrapers by wishful thinking. Neither do you build bridges and technological development and enhancement through prayers and fasting. No, you don't do that. And that's what, to your topic, what the, men of God, quote unquote, have reduced Nigerians. They cast and they bind, and they pray and they speak in strange tongues to command things as though they were to come into existence. That does not happen. Now, you cannot have glorious days where things do not go the way they ought to. You had a young girl, Mesomachi, who, whether I believe in the rulings of the presidential election tribunal, could say that it was a mistake. Mesomachi forged her JAMB result, and everyone saw it. She was condemned, and what the Catholics call penance, she paid for her sins. Here we have an adult, a full-grown adult. Now, your date of birth has controversy. Your sex has elements of controversy to it. Your graduation, everything about you has question mark to it. I don't know how you want to make progress with such sort of people being at the helm of affairs, because the trajectory is very simple. You are not going to make any progress. When you reflect on how Chinese and the Singaporeans, Malaysians got to where they are, you find out that Singapore discipline was the order of the day. If you're found wanting in whatever you do, irrespective of who you are, you're going for it. But here we have adults in 21st century, full-blown adults trying to justify madness. Oga, how you go take be glorious if adults they behave like imbeciles? How? How you go take up?
I want you to weigh in on this, the implication of his action on those in diaspora. How, because from where I am standing, I'm looking at this is a global stage, not a national stage or a community stage. This is a global stage. And the Chicago University is known worldwide. It's in the US. And they are trying, in my opinion, they are trying to save their image, because from stories I've heard, it has started affecting their image. So they have to save. So how do we save our own image? Please, can you
You and I,
answer that? Help us, please.
these things took time for the image to be battered. Governments have their own blames. Nigerians in the diaspora have their own blames. When Nigerians in the diaspora go out to commit this fraud, you know, when the man who left Nigeria as a male landed in Chicago University, State University as a female, that wasn't done by the Nigerian government of 1970s, right? It was done by an individual. Now, that was not corrected to the point where that individual becomes a president of the most populous black nation on the planet Earth. Having said that, what it does to the Nigerian image, and especially those in the diaspora, is it means anything you bring to the fore now will be looked into twice. You understand that there are some countries like Indians and Pakistan and Bangladesh that sometimes in America and maybe Europe, that when certain documents are submitted, they are scrutinized twice. There are people when, as a result of consistent engagement in arranged marriage, that you say, okay, you want to talk about marriage now, your application will be scrutinized more than every other. In our own, when you submit your WAEC, your first degree or whatever it is you're bringing to the table, it will now be deeply, with binocular, everything will be looked into. But all hope is not lost. It will reverse. But for that to reverse, it's not going to reverse by prayers. It's only when we begin to publicly name, shame, punish, that people will begin to have confidence. As we speak, you're aware that in the United Kingdom, that some nurses who came from Nigeria to take exams appears to have a special center. And that is, again, something linked back to Nigeria. Special center where they go to. Someone sits in this exam. They now graduate and they say they are qualified nurses. Some of them, their shoulder parts will now be taller than their head, because they are qualified nurses now. And at the end of the day, because of that bad image, now not by the government, but Nigerians, citizens, has affected so many Nigerians now that they have to go and retake. You can imagine there are people who probably passed those exams by whiskers, so they have to go back and retake it. And now, being more under panic, some may no longer pass those exams. Again, it is as a result of what the people have done. So until maybe Nigerians kick out their own president, nobody can say never, because if it happens, one is going to correct your image abroad. Two is going to tell the other African nations that this is actually possible because they look up to you as the big brother. Three, you're going to send a strong signal to the world that you do not take nonsense. That Nigerians are not only mounting that they are the giant of Africa walking on a mosquito limb, but they are actually the giant that have two legs and that they can walk properly.
Okay. I'm a solution oriented person. So I'm going to take you on what you said. Reverse this back. Nigerians kick the president out, or so how do we go about it? I personally, I've campaigned on Section 68 and Section 10 of the Constitution. Some people have already nicknamed me, giving me a nickname of Section 68 and 110 of the Constitution. But in this context now, how do we revert? Because you see, we are not seeing. Yes, we are seeing the damage it is causing, because it's on a global stage individually, but the extent of it, we're not saying it yet. It's not so, but we need to nip it in the bud now before it goes viral. It's already gone viral, but we need to quickly arrest it, not address, arrest the situation now. Individual Nigerians, how do we reverse this issue?
No,
Please.
it starts with the family. If you're not, it's a sad reality. Let me say it. It's a sad reality that you have parents who are willing to take their children to go pay special centers for them to pass exams. Now, to reverse this, parents have to do the right thing. You, as individual Nigerians, have to. Then it moves down to the institutions. That's why I was totally in support of the way JAMB handled Mesomachi's case, right? What that does is it gives confidence to the institution internationally. Now, what it would then mean to, when people talk about JAMB, they now say, oh, yes, actually, exam malpractice happen everywhere in the world. But it is what the institutions do when they dictate that such had happened. Because that's the only way you can restore confidence. Mesomachi was caught. She was punished, barred for 3 years. Even when some people say it's harsh, I say no, it's not, because to the level she went, it's calls for serious consequences. Now, here we have the highest office in the land. Instead of someone being barred from having anything to do with politics, you rewarded him with the highest office in the land. Maybe you didn't vote him, but for some reason he grabbed it, he whisked it, and he ran with it. Now it is left for the over 200 million Nigerians to run after him and say, okay, now you have run away with this, but we are going to take it back from you because you didn't merit it. So, like I said before, it's going to be a long journey. It took us long to get into this mess. If you look at when according to what article reviewed today, when a man says I graduated from this high school in Nigeria in 1970, it turned out the school as of 1970 was not even built. So you can see how far it's gone from 1970 till now. From 1970, that is 53 years. That's how long it took to get into the mess. So anyone thinking, oh, yes, break this nation, break it, then everything fixes. I'm like, come on. Only you break the nation, all you're going to do is you relocate the criminals back to their
from one place to the from one place to the other.
Criminals, right? So you relocate them from Abuja to maybe Ibadan is going to be the headquarters of Southwest, or relocate them to Enugu, or relocate them to Kaduna. That's what it is.
Going back to that Inyo Summers case, I remember this man that owns the motor company gave her scholarship, and he withdrew the scholarship, the amount of money.
Exactly.
Are these people really coming out to say, you know what, let's support the legal system whereby the citizens can sue the president and in a way reverse this situation? Because if they've made such promises and they quickly changed their position when this came, how about now that it's a global stage, that it may also affect his own business because it's a Nigerian, because I ain't gonna trust no Nigerians anywhere. If initially they don't trust us. We are judged, we are prejudged, whether you are good or bad, or whether we already now this makes it worse. So what are these people doing? How are they coming into the stage to say, you know what, citizens, we need to take a legal case against this present government, because it could be anybody. It's Please, have you heard anything in that light, please?
Well, you and I are aware that when a Nigerian president takes office, becomes one of the most powerful person on the planet Earth. Now, add this, when a Nigerian president with crooked minds, who knows how to thwart and run the system, takes office, it becomes as powerful as anything you can imagine. Therefore, the Nigerian constitution already has given you immunity from any form of prosecution as long as you remain that president. So for citizens to talk about, going to court, for me, is a waste of time, right? Look, I'll give you an example. After the election, there were some individuals that went to court to have the Abuja 25% interpreted, to tell you how the corrupt the system has become. None of the judges, none. These were 3 different cases, but none of the judges determined those cases until very much later. One of the cases was the double nomination. They waited until Supreme Court determined the double nomination, the case of double nomination, and that same day, that case was determined at the appeal court. And the lawyer that brought that case were really, I sat in the courts that day, and I listened to the judge. I felt sorry for the lawyers, the verbal abuse they were given, as if they were not citizens and they merited and them amounted to nothing, that it was a waste of time. But this is when individuals came to court for you to interpret something, right, for them. So if you look at that, I think that there is no way, there is nothing legally anybody can do. But what Nigerians can do is, if they feel so offended, if they feel so raped by what has happened, the citizens can come together and shut down the system and demand for something, because political power is given by the people, and only the people, not the judiciary, has the right to withdraw that.
Okay. Yeah. So going by that argument, how do we motivate the people, inspire the people, steer the minds of the people towards this direction? Now, some may argue, oh, they didn't answer this and that, but this is a different thing between NSAS and now. Many will go and apply for visa. Like you rightly said, they will screen every document. In fact, they don't even need to screen. They will just throw it back at them that we consider these documents to be fake, even if it's original, if it's genuine. So how do we steer the minds of the people? How do we galvanize these people? Because I've always argued that we in diaspora sit in a privileged position, whereby in terms of media and publicity, we can move this, we can help to steer the mind of the people back at home. Because at the moment, people back at home, they're only thinking of what they will eat. I cite an example, I think last month, my son, when he finished his primary school, and when his result or certificate came out, one letter was missing. It was a typographic error, to be honest. And I said, this is a typographic error. It's just one letter. It was written, let's say John, they now wrote John. And the mother said, no, with this Tinubu saga, I need to correct this thing because I don't know when it's coming to bite the son in the future. Okay, that's your prerogative. So how do we steer the mind of the people? Because it's not about steering the mind. We've seen the problem. We can't dwell on the problem continuously. It's about solution now, to redeem the image. How? I know you said going to the court is a waste of time because of the recent tribunal case judgment. So outside that or beside that, what are you proposing, please? You've proposed the people, but how do we go about it, please?
It's about education and sensitization. The conversation we have now is part of the sensitization. One thing we must always walk away from as Africans is this mentality of immediate, right? For you to gather momentum, when you see two lambs when they want to fight, you see them taking steps backwards in order to gather momentum and that force.
Yeah, correct.
So before they do the head button. So here, what we are doing now is sensitization, letting people know. I'll give you an example. There was a time a relation of mine applied for a British visa to go to England. In the Nigerian way, because there are a lot of things in this part of the world. You guys are already you're okay there. In this part of the world, people take a lot of things for granted. In going there, it was listed, are you going with any of your children? He said yes. But he didn't attach anything to show, even when it was clearly written. Puts either pictorial evidence, birth certificate or anything, right? To say that this child belongs to you. He didn't. But when he was related the visa, he called me and he was angry. I'm like, did you do this? He said, no, he didn't. I said, no, you don't. They asked you something, you didn't, right? So it means because he didn't understand that when you run a company, in as much as it is yours, you are nothing but an employee. In Nigeria, it doesn't matter. But when you want to apply for an American visa, if you want to go where individuals, because it's an article of memorandum, there are so many, you put your son, you put your daughter, you think you can run the company, you can take $100,000 and go to America. And you go there, a child of 20 years will ask you, okay, so in this company you own it, how much do they pay you? You say, but I control the money. No, it's not.
It belongs to me.
So, exactly. So, but until we begin to, and we are currently doing, begin to sensitize him. Earlier today, when Atiku finished his press conference, I had a live stream. And I mentioned it to the people in the live stream that I recall in the year 2001, on applying for student visa in Germany, I was refused. You know why? My name is Tochukwu with single O, Tochukwu, right? My first name. And in one of my, I think that was my, in one of the, what's it called? One of the documents that authenticate my date of birth had double O. And I was told that the same picture, the same everything, the same date of birth, but because one had double O and one had single O, that is not me. So I had to go back to square one. No, but it's not funny, but that's part of the, you understand? So everyone now should begin to look at their documentations. If your documentation, if your name is, let's say Kunle, and they say your name is Kanle, you better begin to complain because Kanle and Kunle, or they say your name is Kunle with O, it's not the same. If your name is Abubakar and they begin to, just like Buhari, at some point we had Muhammadu. At one document you have Muhammad. So, it can call for people to make jest of you. It can call for, it could be an honest mistake in some cases, but when your sex is a mistake, your social security number is a mistake, your gender, your college, you print your own certificate as if you're an institution. Come on now. Only one person.
If you take a look at what I just highlighted on the screen there, those are the comment section. So revolution is the only solution for Nigeria now. Do you agree with that? If yes, why? If no, why
No,
not?
no, no,
Or
no.
if yes, how do we go about the
No,
revolution?
no, no,
If
no.
no, why not?
You see, I'm a realist. One thing you have to know is I personally have issues with when someone makes a suggestion or throws up a concept and says this is the only solution. For me, intellectually speaking, it falls. There are multiple solutions. You can say that revolution is your preferred option. But to say that revolution, how do you even define the revolution? Is it a bloody revolution? Or is it a revolution that will kill everybody? Or is it a revolution? Do you understand? It's too vague to engage. Revolution is the only solution for Nigeria now. What is revolution? How do you define it? Right? Is it like J. Rawlings, where you buy all the political office holders or those that have commingled money, or a revolution where you because Arab Spring was a revolution, French Revolution was a revolution, right? Now, what happened in Ghana could be considered. What Fidel Castro did was. What also happened in Rwanda after the genocide is also a revolution in terms of how things evolved. So we must be very clear. It's not enough to just jump into a bandwagon and say revolution is the only solution. Revolution, if when clearly defined, could be part of the solution. But to say that that is the only solution without knowing much details, who's going to lead it, what do you if you assuming, let's say it's a violent one, let's without considering, but let's say it's a violent revolution. Okay, you go in there and you do every what, and so what are you proposing there? There has to be a plan. So if I come back, if I leave that now, come back to what I said before, that I think citizens taking action, it's also a revolution itself. Because when citizens come, now there must be a demand. What are they demanding? If the president goes, and so what? If the president leaves, and so what? Are you going to start what? Are you going to start a new constitution? Are you going to start a new, what is it that you're offering? Do you say the Senate president should take over? Do you say, okay, because now the president has resigned, the vice should take over? Or are you going to say, let there be new election? Or should the military take over for 6 months, or the Senate president take over for 6 months and conduct new election? We don't know. But the issue is that Nigerians are not happy with what is being done to them as we speak.
If we are not happy, because really, I think the Irish playwright says, those who cannot change their mind cannot change anything. An Irish playwright said, those who cannot change their mind cannot change anything. So if Nigerians were not happy, I proposed the citizens a campaign on Section 68 and Section 110. And I believe if we act on this, it may lead to that desired revolution without the shedding of blood. Because in my considered opinion, that country cannot stand war. I have to be honest, that is where I stand. In this present context, it cannot stand war. Now, let's go back to this issue of those glorious days we return, because we need to first of all define what is a glorious day. Was there electricity 50 years ago or 60 years ago? Yeah, I know there was a time, or I've read there was a time the dollar was 1 naira to $1. Okay, that may be seen as one of the glorious days. Now the dollar is, I think it's over 1,000 naira to $1. I don't know, but I think so. So let's highlight those glorious days. I didn't live in the 50s or in the 40s, and so I don't know. Maybe you lived in the 40s, or you reincarnated from the 40s
Yeah,
to the
I live in
50s. Please, can you help me on that? Help us on that.
I lived in the 20s actually. You see, glorious days are when you look at it, it's very subjective. Um, Last year could be glorious than this. I never knew I could say this. As of 2013, we thought we'd seen the worst. I know when I come to America, you have, how much is it? You have about $10,000. $10,000. And $10,000 is such a humongous amount of money, millions, right? When dollar was 130 something or thereabout, 125, 26, 27, right? And you're able to buy 2, 3 cars with that amount and ship them to Nigeria, for instance. Isn't that glorious that just barely 8 years, 10 years ago, we are begging, take us back there? Glorious. Recall that in the time period that I'm speaking about, you come back, you have 50 kg of rice that you can share to widows.
Yes.
Glorious as just 8 years ago. Now we had cucumbers and carrots who jumped fence, took us 40 years backwards in the name of governance. So how do you define glorious? I don't want to dwell in the 50s or 60s. That's, utopic. But one thing I tell Nigerians, especially if you ever leave the shores of Nigeria, is anytime I left the shores of Nigeria and stayed 2 months and come back, that 2 months appears glorious. It's a place that I have not seen. I mean, just like when you go to Dubai, for instance, you stay 6 months or 1 year, come back. The place you basically visited is like, you can see constant transformation. Now, we even talk about glorious days. I recall 90s and 2000s. We used night bus to Yola, to Medugri.
I use that night bus to Uyo, to Port Harcourt, to Abuja.
Exactly. So now you can imagine that it's like, God, it's actually pure madness, but it's something you can't even contemplate today. Either you've been kidnapped by herdsmen or your brothers or sisters within your own region that would relay you and kidnap you, and the road itself is so terrible. Then you begin to ask yourself, is it that 10 years ago is glorious, 60 years ago, 50 years ago, right? I recall there was a time we buy cement,
Yeah.
300 naira.
I think cement is about 5,000 naira now, if I'm correct.
So, Jesus Christ, I mean, I recall when cars, and why wouldn't you say this is glorious? I recall last year, not even that long, last year, I personally sold a Sienna for about, I can't remember, I think about 6 million or whatever. But that same Sienna, I can buy it for 13 million. Last year, May. So isn't that pure madness? A friend of mine bought a ticket, last one-way ticket to England, Ethiopian Airline, 1,720, sorry, 1,720,000, one way.
One way.
One way.
Ethiopian Airline.
Now, it's when you go to British Airways or Virgin, you're looking at over 3 million. Now the question is, what time frame do you give this glorious past? And the sad reality, however, is in all my adult life, I have never seen things come down in Nigeria. It will be delusional think, oh yeah, dollar eventually will get to another 300 or two or 400 or 500. I don't think it's sad, but that is the reality of the place we call home. I don't know. We are in a
We
quagmire. I don't even know solution.
no, no, no. To every problem, there is a solution. I've always believed in that. In that phrase, to every problem, the solution at times may not be a palatable solution. But are you now saying or suggesting, in terms of what the pastor Adeboye said, that is misleading, or is just throwing a line of hope to people out there, giving to the platform? I mean,
Uh,
giving to his platform, is it a misleading statement, or is throwing a line of hope to people, giving to the present circumstances of the country?
is That's mischievous. That's in my view, he's you know positioning himself to line his pockets, telling people that it's going to be glorious day. I mean, he's selling hope. Okay, and it's selling hope, but selling hope is the job of the government. His job is to sell, to convert people to quote unquote heaven, if it exists. So, and that's it. So I think he has no business. If he wants a glorious day, if he wants a glorious Nigeria, he shouldn't just mouth it and tell people there's going to be a glorious thing. It doesn't come by prayers. If he really and genuinely wants that, he should and must frown at the leaders. He must call them to order. He must speak up. He has a platform. They listen to him. You know, you call people out, tell them what you are doing is wrong. Frown at them. They might get shocked and they begin to do the right thing. There is no way. When a road is bad, it's bad. There is nothing you can do. It's like a Sapele road. How do you say this? It's going to be a glorious day. Yet, there is no road to go to head to Sapele. Yet this is a region that produces oil. How do you want a glorious day that in 8 years the APC government could not finish the Lagos Ibadan Expressway, and you want it to be glorious? A glorious day, someone will want you to believe, and you had a refinery that was not uncompleted, and Nigerians and the world went in there to commission an uncompleted project, to the point that Nigerians were scammed. Yesterday, I was at the second Niger Bridge, a bridge that is not in use. The access roads are not yet finished, but it's been commissioned and propaganda used to tell you that it's finished. I mean, sometimes you look at this thing, you feel like smacking adults because you can look at them deceiving the people. Honestly, I mean, it's not funny.
Do you think they are afraid of their lives, as such they are not coming out openly to either criticize or condemn the government and steer the minds of their own citizens, I mean their members, to do right? Because I'm confused. I have to be honest, because seeing what is happening now and reading the scriptures, there's a contrast, a very wide contrast, that I don't, because the prophet of old, from what I read, they stood up against government respectfully, but they told them evil is evil. For example, John the Baptist challenged Herod, and it led to his beheading. And I mean, I've heard a preacher say John the Baptist died the death of a chicken, and I felt so offended by that. But is it a case that they're afraid of their life, or and they don't want to go toe to toe with the government, or could you please help me to make sense of
Now,
this, if possible?
there is an African proverb that says, "You you don't speak." It's on African to speak at the dinner table. These individuals are constantly at the dinner table, government after government. There was a time they said they wanted to build 1 kilometer auditorium. Where is the money going to come from? Do they have any shop? Individuals that they have convinced will bring that money in the name of 10%. And where is that 10% going to come? Government contracts. So they cannot really speak to their constituents or their customers, as I prefer to call them. You can't go and tell your customers certain things that will make them to stop coming buying from you. So they keep, you know, some government officials are their customers, and big time customers at that, who bring in and who reckon big monies for them. And as long as that keeps happening, you wouldn't expect them to say certain things that will hurt those big time investors and customers. I mean, it's as simple as that.
Okay. You see, this is an area that most people actually afraid to tread upon, or you are going to offend Daddy Gio, or you will be seen as you are blaspheming the name of God, or like they always say, "Touch not my anointed, and do my prophet no harm." They control a very, very large platform. Adeboye, what's their name again? Suleiman. This, well, I sometimes the names are just too much that we cannot, because I hold the view that if they have this power to steer the mind of the people in respect to what is going on in the country. I believe a lot in prayer, but I also believe that prayer without a corresponding action, it's not going to work at all. It's there in the Bible. So it's all the same, steering the mind of the people, like what I commented. There's a yes, afraid of their lives. You said they don't want to offend their customers, but these same customers are still feeling the pain, the economic hardship of the
Yeah,
country. So how do
yeah,
we how
yeah.
do we balance how do you balance that?
No, no, no. The customers are feeling the pain because they have not really configured their minds to understand that the heaven they are being sold to, you can start living it here. If you lived in, okay, let me I know some people might take offense of, but who cares? Take it this way. You have never seen gold in your life. You haven't lived in a gold house. You've lived in mud house all your life. You don't know how to, do you understand? And you want to die living a poor, wretched life of penury. But you want, when you die, you then go up somewhere and you begin to live in gold mansions. Yet the person that tells you that your reward is in heaven walks around with bodyguards, drives his SUV that has
Bulletproof.
suspensions, and you that contributes the money for petrol, the money to buy that car, you believe in your shoes are gone beyond alignment. That
Alpha, you should have talked to Alpha and Omega. That's what we normally call it. You can see the beginning and the you can see the beginning of the show and the ending. So it's
so
Alpha and Omega.
it is about caging the mind, and the moment the mind is caged, it becomes a revenue generating entity. There are midweek services, you must keep giving, you must keep giving, you must keep giving. Now, because the mind is not yet liberated, right? To know that I'm a Christian, right? But I am not, deluded in the sense that I could not, because I want to go to heaven, then I would then accept to live like an object on earth. No, No, hell no, it's not going to happen. We must begin, we must demand that which is also right. It's not only when you go to heaven. And I say, if you live for poto, when you get to heaven, they give you one room. Voila, you know, go know waiting to do. Because you'll be looking, you'll be asking them, that's what you know. I beg, make una show me corner. Can't believe that that's your house.
Cheesy, sir. Please, nobody should say Tinubu is not a new thing. Please, Tinubu is number one citizen. If we accept it, it means that is a Nigerian thing to forge a certificate. It doesn't look good. Yeah, that's what we're saying here. We don't want to accept it, even though it's a reality we are living. But how do we reverse it? So those of you in the comment section, some of you are proud, some are like one said a revolution, but it didn't expatiate more on it. So can you give us this? Because this is about this. To me, it's about this. I always will blame citizens. That is why I often go with section 68 and section 6, section 110, because that is where I know that the citizens also have power on their legislators. I know, look at what happened in America today. I know it's purely politics, okay? When Kevin McCarthy was ousted out as a reps leader there, but it works there. But things work. These are the things that we should start to take our legislators, hold them accountable. Some of us don't even know their names. Those representing us there. So how do we go up? Because I strongly believe, like I stated earlier, I strongly argue that if we go through this means, if we try, let me use this word, if we attempt to go this means, it's going to help us a lot, because we can't touch the executives. The citizens cannot. But the only people we can touch are our legislators, those that represent us in the constituency. Could you please weigh in on that? Because that is my own argument. That has been my argument. Please, thank you.
That we can only touch on the legislators.
If we read section 68 and section 110 of the Constitution, it gives the citizens power. That's where I say that is where power to start to hold our legislators accountable, because their role is to perform checks and balances on the executive while we perform checks and balances on them. Now, there is a romance of corruption between the executive and the legislator. For example, Tinubu chose Akpabio, so Akpabio will always be his puppet or whatever. Akpabio can do nothing, can't check the president. So, but I've argued that 68110 is for the citizens. How do we start to invoke this thing? Thank you. The floor is yours.
Well, the way I look at it, my brother, government is a social contract. And by the time we yield our power through the ballot box for them to take our collective power, we've elected them into that office to go represent us. So whenever we feel that they are not doing what is right, there is a recall process. Tried in Kogi against, it didn't work. So because we know that doesn't work, you don't have the only option of waiting for another electoral cycle. However, as civil societies and other entities, of course, there must be constant engagement with those that we have elected. And those we have elected, we must, as citizens, to hold them to account. And, to hold them to account to ensure that they speak up on our behalf. Because you and I can have these conversations here. If these conversations are not translated into structured approach, handed over to someone in the National Assembly, it amounts to naught. I'll give you an example. After the election, Based, based on what happened during the election, I know some. I approached about two, three senators, right? Okay, this is not right. We must find a way, with the help of these members, when they stabilize in the House, to ensure that we draft a bill. We're not going to leave it to them. We're going to join in the new media and the conventional media, and using social media to back them up, to begin to demand for another electoral act amendment, which would then stipulate that before you swear in a president, all these legal battles must be finished, right? Before you swear. I mean, it's happened in Kenya. It's not like it's a skyrocket science. But these things are a gradual process. You and I can be angry as much as we want. You can call people out. You can even cause your own, a fellow, victim. That's what all of us is. You can even shoot or do whatever if you do not take a step backwards, like the lamb do when they want to headbutt and say, okay, these are things we have seen. Where are the loopholes? As individuals that are practical, that has gray matters in between their skulls, how can you help? What can we do collectively? Okay, now they say snatch it, run with it, and do what? How do you, use instrumentalities of, legislation to ensure that these things are minimized? Elimination, not possible, but you can reduce it. And to your question, I think, with proper engagement of those within the National Assembly, of course, I believe we can.
Okay.
But it's going to take time. It's going to take time.
This is a distressing moment for me. I came on here to really distress, and thank you. You helped me to to get out of this stress I've been for the past few days. Now, how do the citizens? You see, it's very hard for the citizens to even engage with their legislator, their represent them over here, and you know that most of these rep or parliamentary, they have offices that people can go to in their constituency. They have emails that people can write. Does these things exist? I mean, I think it's asking you, does it exist? It's a foolish question. This does not exist in Nigeria. How do we make this to exist, where the citizens or in their constituency or the constituents can be able to interact with their representatives, those representing them in their constituency? Because these are the things we need to, like you said, the things we need to put in place.
But again, I answer these questions believing that we are all looking for solutions, right? The reason why your rep in America will listen to you is because he knows that the elections are credible, and that if you do know, when you elect him, if he fails, next electoral cycle, you're not going to return him. For a while, because the elections have been the way they were, but for the first time, at least the National Assembly in this election were more credible than the federal, other like presidential or so, right? So what that means is a process. You see that the more of the current legislators from certain areas in Nigeria are more receptive to these ideas because they owe their being in that house to each and every one of us. Because they know that if it was about rigging, they couldn't have rigged. They know if it was about wealth, they do not have the wealth. In a place where you have an Okada rider, coming to the assembly, I mean, it's common sense to know that that individual will and definitely not take the people for granted, because if he dares upset them, is not going to return. Thereby, one of the things that can make this happen is to ensure that the credibility of election and the electoral process is guaranteed. If not for the presidential, where we have made some step backwards because of certain primordial, inclinations, we would have made, honestly, serious progress. The next stage that we should be demanding now is, if it becomes a threat because Mazezuke has beard and he comes to vote, someone is going to attack me, then we must outsmart those that are likely to attack. What says that we cannot use blockchain for our elections? Who says that we cannot convert some of the ATM machines into polling units the day of election? Who says that for our continuous voter registration, that we cannot liaise with the banks that have 80% of the infrastructure to convert them into continuous election, voter registration centers? Why do we have to do deduplication, right? When you have registered somebody, if at the point of registration, I can, by keying in your details, say, madam, in 2013, you actually registered. So rather than give you a duplicate, I say, okay, what we can now do is get me your BVN, get me this, get me that. If I confirm it is you, I'll update your old data.
Your data system.
Exactly, and reprint new one for you. So, these are things that once we begin to get them right, then it means that man says, okay, with two-factor authentication, if the data are brought together, my BVN, my car, and my international passport, with my telephone number. Yesterday at Airtel office, I went to my broadband. This broadband that I'm using now stopped working. I went in, they said, no, I need to update my NIN. I said, that's madness. It's not even up to 3 months I bought it. So why do I need to update? But you see, the point that I want to make with that is, once I gave the lady my NIN, I was waiting for her to ask me my first name, my second. Do you understand? And she said, which state are you from? I said, how can you jump to state without wanting to know my name first? She said, when I imputed your NIN, it brought your details. You see, that's progress. That's there. That was yesterday. That for me is progress. And that's the clamor that we want. That when you impute my NIN as a Nigerian, I should be able to, because it pulls out my telephone number that I've used in that registration. So what that means is that we get to a point where I impute a particular data, it allows me to vote, and I will scroll, lying on my bed, watching AIT or watching Engineer Media and Dr. Damages, saying, okay, I can vote. I want to vote Mr. Electricity to be the governor of Bermuda Triangle. I can sit in my room, in the comfort of my room, without worrying that somebody is going to stab me from the back. What it does is we can use technology to reduce electoral violence, because if there are no ballot paper to snatch and carry, what are you going to carry? Are you going to carry
something? Exactly. So if there are no ballot papers, you're right.
There are no ballot papers. So what are you going to snatch, run with it, and do whatever? And these things eventually will be real time. I believe, honestly, from the things I know happening at the back end, from the level of conversations happening, I believe that Nigeria, by the time we come out of this mess of a government that we are in, anyone who's going to take over after this government, whether it ends abruptly or whether it gets to the end, that we are going to have at least 2 electoral cycles, and we'll get to a point of using this. It is a must, not if. It is a must.
I agree with you on that. Because though there's a question I'm going to ask you. You see, my nickname is Electricity. It has a great meaning. It's not just a stage name. When I check my own. Because I did my voter's card in Lagos, I think in 2011. So I need to change my polling zone to Delta State, and I did it here from the UK online, and the changes were affected by INEC. And I said, that means we know what to do. We just don't want to do it out of what wickedness. Well, how can we achieve this? Being able to sit down in the comfort of your home and press the button and be able to vote where there is no constant electricity.
Well, we do all our bankings when there is no electricity.
That means you have to charge your phone. Your phone must.
Well, people have generators. In the last election, my dear, when it came to counting, I saw what I can refer to as the resilience of the people.
I was there too.
When there was no light, everybody turned the telephone. There was light by phone. You see, I'm not making an excuse for anyone, but the issue is that what the Nigerian mind is able to do is out of this world. Do you know that Nigerians, even in our jagajaganess, our banking system and what they do with technology, that UK and America cannot match it? I hope you are aware. Be it
I'm not aware of that, but I'm listening.
But honestly, I'm telling you, I have accounts elsewhere, as and I'm telling you, this is honest truth. In America, I go to what's it called? All these their evening gathering or whatever. I still see check in America. People write check.
Oh yeah, they still do right. They still write check.
The last time I wrote check is about 2006.
Yeah, no, they don't write check in Nigeria again. I don't think it's not in existence.
This. I mean, what I'm saying is, there is a lot that Nigeria is doing technology-wise. We can do more. With the right legislations to back them up. I have honestly utmost believe that we will get there someday. Right? Because when I look at what's happening, I just showed you that. Is it on the NIM? The other day, I applied for my passport. I went to the passport office. I was told 120,000 for 62 pages. And I sat there 2 weeks ago with my mobile phone here in Enugu here. I made the application. The ladies were there just looking at me. You want to show us you can do this. I said, what? I want to know why you are charging me
120,000 naira to do a passport.
No. And I looked at it. The passport, 64 page passport is 70,000. The payment with remitter brings it about 2,000. That is about 2,900, making it 72,900. And that's what I paid. When I went out, they said I should write a letter to. I said, "Can I see the Ogak the controller or whoever?" And I went in. After about 30 minutes, they called in. I went in and I was asking her, "Why would I pay? Sorry, why would I apply to renew my passport? That application I have done online is the application. So why would I write another?" So after much argument, she said, "I can take it up with Abuja, blah, blah, blah." But what am I telling you? I went out, photocopied my passport. Each photocopy is 15 naira. Then the lady there took my details, wrote that letter. They have a template already. Gave me. I signed. I paid for that writing and printing 200. So by the time you knew it, I spent about 600. And they said I have to do passport photograph. There's a young man there, took the passport photograph, wait and take 500 naira for 4 copies. So I walked out spending 1,200 naira for all the documentation. Submitted it that same day. Got my appointment to come in. That was happening on a Friday. To come in on a Monday to do physical capture. Now, and I started asking myself, why do we actually complain? This is practical. This is just 2 weeks ago. And I've just checked before I came on.
Sorry, let me interject you there. Do you think that if Nigerians follow this path that you've just highlighted, it could be the beginning of one of the revolutions that may turn the country around, not looking for a shortcut, but rather if every one of us go on the internet and apply and take that position without giving bribe, because in the constitution is against, citizens are prohibited from giving and receiving bribes. So do you think this will be one of the means of the revolutions to start?
I strongly believe that. You see, why that madness continues is when people do not, if you do the same thing, I do the same thing, suddenly you run the touts out of business, right? Recall, there was a time that for you to make telephone call, you need to go to NITEL.
Yeah,
they will take this number. So by the time Independent came with mobile phone, Motorola, not 9 Note, those touts that used to disconnect number jam for you to make international calls.
To make a call. I remember that. I remember those days.
There are times when you are say hello, and you hear somebody say Kai, Megida Kai. So maybe connected you with someone in Kaduna or anything like that. So what I'm saying is, it's going to be a long process. However, if we insist, I had my driver's license renewed. I didn't give anybody any money. You understand? Because I'm not in a hurry. Listen, if I want to travel, I will still travel. As long as you're not in a hurry. But the challenge we do have is, every time we are in a hurry, A policeman stops you, a policeman, I'm driving my car. Listen, I can leave what I'm doing now. Let's go to the station. You know, go kill me. We're in a hurry. And because we're in a hurry, so those things that we have to demand, and I see you now, you've been mistreated. I was in a bus in Enugu, in a public bus, and the lady, her telephone number was collected by an army. I say, hey, go away here. You are not good. Because the lady was answering a call. And apparently you are not allowed to answer call when you are at a military checkpoint, because probably you're calling people to come and shoot them. I mean, that is the Southeast. Now that is impunity. And people were telling driver to go. I said, are you mad? Someone just took her phone and you're telling the driver to go. What are you guys nuts? I asked the driver to park. The young lady was panicking. I said, let's go. And I went there. I said, come on. What you will do, you see, you correct her. But you have no right to take her telephone. Did you buy the phone? On that argument, and they say, but she should know that when I said, even me talking to you, I don't know. Therefore, I have learned. But you can also, you don't need to punish her in that sense. Now, she probably wouldn't have gone back if I didn't come down from that bus to go with her. And by the time she goes home, probably find somebody to come back with her. They might have left that checking point, and that's the way the phone will go. Isn't that criminality?
Dan, welcome to the show. I don't know if you've been following us in the background. I'm asking Mazi Ezioke questions. He's providing answers, looking for solution in this. How do we reverse this our damaged image? So if you have question for Mazi, I mean, this program was not designed to go this way. But it's good it's going in this way, because I came on air to distress myself, and it's helping me to distress. So if you have questions or any comment you want to put to Mazi, easy, okay. But before you come in, you go ahead first, Dan. Then I'll have about 20 more questions to ask Mazi, okay? Then we'll call it a day. Now, Dan, the floor is yours.
Yeah, good evening, brothers. And Thank you for the. I've been listening. I'm off from work today, so I was just hanging and listening to. In fact, I listened to him first. He had a after he was in his program when Atiku was talking, and after that he came on for a couple of I don't know, up to an hour with some other brothers discussing. So I followed him from then before I saw you guys were on. And then I saw him again. So I said, oh, this man is busy today. Anyway, for me, there are certain things he said there that he said it first in his program, then said it here again about people talking about revolution. He was trying to ask or say what form will that revolution come from? In his program, somebody suggested the Rawlings revolution in Ghana. But me, electricity, as you know, I've said it several times. I'm a supporter of Showore from beginning. And our brother, before they tried to silence him, these days, I don't know, he's still active, I know, but he's a little bit quiet, unlike him anyway. He said revolution now. For Nigeria, let me just make a comment before I throw one small question I want to throw to our senior brother there is, for me, the only solution to Nigeria is revolution. I know it sounds a little bit strange to so many Nigerians, especially those, I call them the middle class, who might have gotten properties, who are living good. You understand? Maybe for
Dan,
us,
can you define the revolution you want? And
yeah,
again,
that I was trying to.
I think before you joined, I keep saying, and it's something that I trained myself,
Yeah.
To stop doing. Where you have 10, 15 solutions, one
Yeah.
cannot be the only. Your preferred solution to this is revolution. Saying the
No,
only solution.
no. Let me just learn, because I listened to you very well when you said revolution. So to some of us who talk about revolution, that is the only solution that we have. Revolution is not the only solution that we have presented to Nigeria. Showore has presented a lot of solutions to Nigeria. He spoke a lot. People say, brother, go and start from local government. So stop talking. You just want to become president. He felt as a man. He started as a student union, for example. That was another revolution. Then he graduated and said, okay, now let us find another solution. I will deliver myself as a presidential candidate. It's part of the revolution. Because what we are seeking or what we're asking about revolution is people who are credible, who can rule Nigeria in the right way. Because those who are ruling Nigeria now, I'm sorry to use this language, to me and to most of us, they are criminals. We are not seeing what they are doing for Nigeria. They are just nothing is working in. Imagine a whole Nigeria, no light, up to today. Since when I was young, up NEPA, up to today now is I better pass my neighbor. Now we take silence that matter. When you manage to buy a better pass my neighbor, you think that you are okay. But it's a shame because it's affecting our industries and all these things. Things are not working. So my own revolution, like you just asked me now, is another part of the solution. Because we have tried February 25, it's another revolution. All Nigerians came out, even including yourself. I was following you. You did a lot, campaigned a lot for a change through the Labour Party and all these people. What happened? They snatched it. They ran away with it. They took you. They say, go to court. We've been to court. It's part of that revolution. To me, my own understanding of my own. We went to court. We also saw what they did to us in the court. Somebody in your program, he made us laugh. He said they sprayed something. Everybody were sleeping. So people are confused. What else do we have to do? My own revolution that I'm proposing is a revolution that Nigerians have never seen before. Because that is the only thing these people will understand. We went to vote, they say no way. We do this one, no way. And we're just hanging. People are dying of hunger. Naira is now $1,000. So when are we going to go to the street and really tell them that, look at the labor people. They say indefinite strike. All of a sudden, they enter one room, come out again. they say they give them 30 days. When people were already thinking that that is where the revolution will start from. They went again, pour them ice water, give them under the table, all these things. They calm us down again. They say, okay, 30 days. So these are the things that we now are saying. The only solution left, my brother, I might be wrong, but this is my own opinion that I've held, right from the days of Fela Aníkúlápó Kuti. He told us suffering and smiling. That was far back then. No? Is it not what is happening today? We are suffering and still smiling over 30 years ago. It's still happening. When is the time for Nigerians to just carry, if na stick you fit hold am, if na knife you fit put for pocket, you hold am, if na fork you dey for your pocket, you hold am, everybody constant for street, say no more. These people have to go. Because to me, that's the only solution left. These guys are not going nowhere. The game they are playing to Nigerians, they are adding more tactics. Chicago say Tinubu went there. You are the one who explained this very well to me this afternoon. He went there as a woman, he came back as a man. Whether it's a gender change or this, you don't know. But this is what we now know today. So when is it that time Nigerians will say enough is enough? Make I stop here for a while.
Maz is okay. When is the time? When is the time? I think it made a very valid point in some area when that these people actually, let me tell you what I picked from what Dan says. These people actually are not going away, and they ain't going to go away quietly. So I know you've said a lot. Seeing that they are not going away, what are we going to do? The floor is yours, please. You are muted, Mazi.
Sorry. Since they are not going away, we will kick their butts. You know, there is no other way, democratically. But on another serious note, there is something plaguing us. Why our realities may not turn out the way we think it should. I don't know if you have noticed this. You know, I'm trying to choose my words carefully. Atiku has gone to court and is doing what he's doing, right? But if you come to the Twitter spaces, Twitter street, and the clubhouses, you hear P2B is being attacked. It has nothing to do with it, though. He's not the one that initiated it. And someone made a tweet say, had it been that P2B was the one that had gone this far to expose this, or had it been that David Hundein is from the Southeast, that what you may be hearing now will be certain people should vacate Lagos and go back to their place of origin. What does that tell you, and what am I driving to? For some reason, since after the election, the nation has been split more towards ethnic lines. Even those who were probably sound and were detribalized before have now gone and become ethnic jingoists. And the narrative keep dividing Nigerians the more. So what am I driving at, my good brother? And to your question, it is very simple. You can have revolution even if when it's not defined, however it is. I mean, from what Dan has said, his own worldview of revolution is when people get angry, come out on the streets, and, you know, even if in a fork you bring, let's jack by everybody, you know, whoever, because you don't know where it starts, when it ends. You can't say anybody who drives SUV. You just kill anyone who lives in a duplex is part of the elite. Anyone who ever worked in government, whether it's still money, no still money, is, you understand? So it's chaos. But let's agree that we want a revolution, will come out, everything, everybody comes out angry, wanting to fix the system, headless, like headless chicken running around. Is it going to work? Nah. You know why? Because there is no rallying point. Our brothers from the other region will say no, because it don't reach our turn to be the president. Now you want everything to scatter. Take NSAS, for instance. NSAS, Nigerian youths were shot. I had argument with people who say, they carry laptop now, no be Yahoo them be. Graduates, looking at youths from the South that having a MacBook, what does he do with MacBook now? Without understanding that these guys, most of them are developers. Without understanding that this is the tool that they use in working. Yes, you can use hoes, you can use wheelbarrow, but this is their own reality. Then it becomes a crime because someone you haven't trained properly is, sees an iPhone or sees an high-end telephone as an instrument of crime. Why did that fail? Because it became a regional thing. Oh, the South want to remove a northern president. Even the president then said it with his own mouth. That those children, in one of their Rise interview now, that those children, when he realized that they want to come over here and remove me, referring to Asorok, that these children want to come and remove him. What and where is the rallying point? Can Nigerians get angry and say, we don't care if you're Igbo, Yoruba, Efik, Ibibio, that if you are found to have forged your result, even when the court doesn't want to do the right thing, that we will occupy Nigeria until the right thing is done? Are we not in Nigeria now that Labour Congress goes on strike? You read in pages of newspaper that it is an Igbo agenda because you have a Labour head who incidentally was elected and is from that area. Just suppose that during Obasanjo's regime that Labour shut down Nigeria under Adams and Shomola. Did anybody ever make such comment that, oh, it was the Benin trying to get at Buhari, at Obasanjo, that's why they were going on strike? The more we speak every day, the more deeper the knife is getting in. And honestly, I mean, we are talking frankly now, and I'm being realistic here. I gave us, in my platform earlier today, I gave us example. After the election, based on what we saw happen, based on the result and the level of rape, electoral rape we saw, under the Free Nigerian movement, myself and Dr. Mo, it is still here. 21 days on the streets of Abuja, yet people were, these things, the way they do them, na Labour Party. It's Nigeria. Who cares about Labour? Who cares about PDP? Who cares? Is anybody buying petrol cheaper? Is anybody buying dollar cheaper? When you are hungry, you want to go and buy Gary, is it Labour, PDP? Even those that are more hungry now appears to be the Agbadorians. Because
I agree with you. I agree with you on that.
So, at the end of the day, until we have this single point of convergence, where Nigerians will begin to say this is wrong. I told someone, if my dad were to be alive and he goes steal money, I will give him up. Let me tell you guys, we need to get to a point where it's either we'll fix this mess, or even those that canvas that you scatter the thing. Well, if you scatter it, it's a national cake of sharing criminals. You must get your own criminals, or they must come home, because the elections, the bad things they've learned here, when they come home, you can't even come close, because they will still hike the price of the phone that you will buy. So it's not, a deep mess. They're done.
Please,
Before I run.
before I forget, I want to interject you so that you can expatiate.
Yes.
You see, when you say, for example, now, you say that, for example, if we say what Nnamdi Kanu stands for, that it's better to share that country, everybody go his own division, his own way. Even Pa Adebanjo a few days ago, he also echoed it, that he wants us to go back to our regional side and condemn this constitution that they are using now, which is causing a lot of confusion. Okay. Now you say that if we divide, for example, like what you just said some few seconds ago, that even if we divide, I don't know if I understand you, and we go to our division, that these same guys will still go to that our corner too and be doing the same thing. That is where I have a little problem, because there are some people who have argued that Nigeria is too big and too divided to still be together. Because you said something just some minutes ago that the time you people were making the revolution, I watched it all. I enjoy your programs a lot. There's one special brother who used to make some analysis all the time. But I always watch your programs if I'm free. You people did that 21 days something. People will come and say, "Oh, this is an Igbo, this is Labour Party, this." But if this, don't you think it's the same game? You know that what oppressors, when they want to oppress you, they use all kind of means. They use side talks. They use people to infiltrate the system that we are doing. But this Igbo people, na Labour Party, just to, you know what I mean, to start people to let people now feeling guilty, or we start to say, go work. Now if we do this thing like the Labour, the leaders of Labours now, you can see some of them. One of them is an Igbo man. If you want to do this, they say Igbo people don't start to now we don't reach us. The one come scatter, the one take strike, begin to disturb Tinubu because na Yoruba turn. But what I'm saying, if they keep using this to stop us, so when are we? What is the solution? Now when we say when are they high up there in the media, somebody was saying in your show that the media people also, despite I know there's a lot of embargoes, what you should say and what you shouldn't say, to weaken the media houses in Nigeria. Even all these notable ones, Arise and Voice of the People, when you want to say so, but please, some of them will even cut you off. I beg, don't let them come and spoil our show. Are we going to just open our eyes like this and be living through Nigeria like this without any solution, without somebody, like you say, who is going to head a revolution that some Nigerians will back him, or we could divide and let's carry our problems. I'm sure we can solve our problems by ourselves.
Well, and whichever, whatever the majority of Nigerians decide. But let me drop this. If people say they want to divide, that's fine. Britain has tried somewhat, or rather is contemplating of applying to go back to the European Union, that after engaging in the Brexit. They've now married 2 wives or 2 husbands. They don't know which one that may appear to be better for them. It is the decision of the people of Nigeria, the decision to say, this is what we want. That's why when, I support the argument of, if a nation becomes so entangled in a crisis like ours, where people have different opinions and ideas, to say, okay, guys, can we take a step backwards and let those who want to remain as a union and those who want it divided, give them time to go and campaign for their, positions, and you go into a referendum, which is nothing but an election. Yes, no, and people make their choice. However, do not conflict breaking Nigeria with what Pa Adebanjo just said. 2 different things. Breaking up of Nigeria is not the same thing as going back to regional governance. right? Going back to regional governance is going back to the 1963 Constitution, right? And going back to the 1963 Constitution means absolute one thing, that you have the regions. Now, then you had four regions, but now you have what we call the geopolitical region. Some people have posited the argument, even by Adeboye, because I interviewed him on my own platform. Even he himself has posited that Nigeria could actually convert these geopolitical regions today into those regions, quote unquote. The details is, it's more or less a loose federation, so to say. But where I have issue is, it's good to have these lofty ideas. People give excuses why they haven't done the right thing because of structure. But the one they are in control of, they haven't even done it. Are you aware that as we speak, people will tell you, oh, the reason why they should give us ability to build rail. Do you know that generation of electricity now and even rail is now in the concurrent list? That means states can go ahead and do it. Which state is planning on doing rail?
Let me interject you there, Mazis. Okay. The point you raise, is
we make excuses.
It's a very. You see, I keep saying this, that they've actually this what you just said now should. Oh, we lost them. Okay, should be our focal point, because the outgoing president signed the bill for state government to generate their own electricity. But none of them is doing such thing. I'll yield the floor back to you. I took a different position from your position in respect to Atiku going to the Chicago University. I think if Peter Obi or David Day or anyone in that had gone themselves to Chicago University to expose this, I think it will ignite Nigerians more. That's the position, because I would say, why did not Peter Obi go that way? Since his campaign is on integrity, accountability, and everything, I think he should be the one to have.
No, my brother, I disagree with you. You see,
okay, a disagreement is allowed on the floor.
Yeah. You know why I disagree with you? There is a saying we say in my place. You live in the United Kingdom. I have lived in the United Kingdom. I still live in the United Kingdom. That a white person wouldn't understand what racism is. Right? They wouldn't. But you, just being on a bus or on a train with nobody speaking to you, you can feel racism sometimes. Right? If I bring that down to Nigeria, we say in my place that every other Nigerian can drink water. The throat will not be hot. But certain people drink the same water. Arrows will be choking everywhere. It's a pattern. And I'll leave it at that. I maintain, I am happy, it's not Peter Obi that has gone that far, because the outcome would have been more, the dimension it would have taken. Look for it, take for instance, every day you go on Twitter, you hear Reno Omokri, for instance. Instead of, Atiku has gone to court now, this is your boss, now go ahead. He will say, why did Peter Obi not submit his certificate from Nsukka? Okay, go to Nsukka. If you can go to Chicago, go to Nsukka. It's at the backyard there. Go and ask them. He has said it. He wouldn't hinder you. Why would he say if you go and apply for transcript, everything, go, they will give you. What's the point?
I think you should not take Omokri very seriously. He's not a serious man. I've never taken him seriously.
Anyway, guys, I need to run. It's been a fantastic.
All right, it's nice. I need to thank you for helping me to distress. I really meant what I said. I was lately I've been under very serious stress, but there are different ways of distressing oneself. So this has I just felt I need to come and use this medium to distress, even though it's a serious matter we've discussed. So thank you. I don't know if I'll come online tomorrow. Hopefully, if I'm in a good place.
Bro, before you go, let me just ask you this funny question. I know many people have asked you before. What do you think is the next step in Nigeria's situation of today after the revolution?
Let's do it this way. Let's leave it to tomorrow. I want
so that we.
Okay. Go ahead.
It's not something I don't want you to waste a lot of time on it.
Because go ahead, Maz, if you can, please.
What do you?
Oh.
Okay. Okay, it's back.
Yeah. Okay. So what I said, is that the ball is in the court of Nigerians. However they want to make their bed, it is their decision.
But we don't have no engine. There's nobody to engineer this. You say ball is on Nigeria, but who will lead it?
It's not true. You're a human being. I'm a human being.
But you guys came out after the election. Nobody joined you.
Well, okay, we came out after the election. Nobody joined us, so we should stop coming out.
Don't you think we need a messiah? Somebody in that?
No. That's the thing. That's the thing.
I think we can make Mazi Ezioke our messiah.
I'm there. Anybody that, if you guys say you want to join me tomorrow 7 o'clock in Abuja, at least I did here. If anything will happen, make it happen.
Mazi, okay, I will get you your contact number from Dr. Rudolf and to see how we'll forge ahead in this matter.
No,
because
let me drop you my contact in the
just put it in the private chat, please.
Yeah, I'm putting in the private chat.
Where is the private chat?
My number, I know they hide them now.
My own day of social media self. Thank you very much. I will get in touch. Then we'll see how we will forge that, because it's all about solution and not just talk. So once again, thank you. I wish I stayed longer till maybe, but
anyway,
there'll always be another day.
You don't know how lucky I am. As I speak to you now, I have I'm switching networks here. This is one. This is another one.
It's Nigeria. We have that's the Nigeria.
Different networks here, because sometimes
that's the Nigeria. What Nigeria has turned us into. Thank you very much, Dan. Thank you very much.
Anyway, thanks, guys.
Hopefully, I will come online tomorrow, and I will get in touch, Mazi. Thank you. Have a lovely day, guys. And those in the comment section. Thank you. God bless.
Bye bye.